Nothing's responding. We're losing power.
I'm seeing this too. I don't know what's happening.
This isn't right.
I'm seeing the distortion here too.
It shouldn't be happening.
What the hell is that?
We're being hit. The corridor doors are being forced open.
Hello and welcome back to Star Citizen. My name is Evenlease, and today on 10 minutes more or less ship review, right behind me, the ESPERIA Prowler utility. Let's go ahead and take a look. Alright, welcome back to another review, and of course, thank you to Maximus, WinRAR42, Cypher1, and Sereth Omega for joining me on today's review of the Prowler utility. The last time I take a look at this ship, it was June of 2025, so now we have to get an update on it since we've had engineering and everything else since then. And I have to say, what a fantastic ship that this thing is. Its price point is a bit high if you're talking about pledge price, but that's a lot to do with it being an alien ship and less to do with it actually what it's capable of, right? It is stealthy, it is alien, and it can carry a little bit of cargo as well as, personnel. But from there, let's talk about it. It does cost $300 on the pledge store, or you can buy it in game for 18,711,000 UEC. Definitely a higher price tag, and you got to kind of wonder, why is it such a high price tag? Well, there's a lot to this ship, even though it doesn't seem like it, and it does look like a shrimp. It really does. I swear, a lot of these designs, birds, shrimps, animals, insects, right? It's all over the place, and I just gotta love to see it with the ESPERIA ships. This thing does output 2,136 stock burst damage per second due to the two size 4 Light Strike 4 cannons, as well as the two size 3 Deadbolt cannons. And now, I have to talk to you about this gun platform, right? I usually, and I always will, review ships based on their stock outfit. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm scoring it technically off the stock outfit, but I am telling you that it does have size 4 hardpoints as well as size 3 hardpoints, to which you can equip how you like. Now, with that in mind, I would probably get rid of the Light Strike 4s and replace them with Revenants in 4.9 while keeping the Deadbolts on board. You're going to output a good amount of damage and have a good enough alpha to strike pretty much anything you need to, unless you're aiming at really big targets. With that in mind, if you're going to attack big targets, then you would have to kind of keep with the Light Strikes or move to an M cannon series of some sort, because because their laser alpha will be higher, but then you'll just have to deal with the shielding of whatever enemy ship you're trying to crack open. Now, the pilot does control all of those weapons as long as the co-pilot seat isn't sat in. So if you have somebody on board and they don't sit in that seat, the pilot will have all that firepower to their disposal, and that's fantastic. Now, you don't have any missiles on this ship, so definitely not something you can count on there. You do have a tractor beam that does deploy from underneath the Prowler utility, and this is where this ship shines. Let's talk about its current use cases in Star Citizen. First and foremost, it is extraordinarily stealthy, even though she is a bigger ship, and I mean a much bigger ship, because if you were to take a Golem Ox, you can literally park the Golem Ox right under her wing, and the Golem Ox is just as stealthy, if not stealthier. But with that in mind, this ship, with its size and it being an alien craft, as well as it just looking really cool, it does have a lot of capability in the stealth game. And if you were to turn off a lot of your components and stuff that you don't need while you're out there flying, you'll be even stealthier than you think. With that, you can go out to like Hathor Line of Mines, or you can go to anywhere around the verse and kind of steal cargo or take things without ever being even noticed. And that's a pretty cool thing with this ship. You do have a total of 29,920 bubble shield, which is okay. Again, the next three stats I give you, the bubble shield, the armor, and the HP, they're going to be on the lower end. Not because, well, I mean, you would expect it to be higher just because it's a bigger ship. No, it's an alien ship. She's light, she's stealthy, she's undetectable, right? And that's where she shines. So with that, the 29,000 bubble shield is perfectly fine because you're trying not to be seen and you're trying not to be hit. And then you have 12,150 armor. Now, that armor does have a very, very low deflection rating at 32 deflection physical and 39 deflection energy. So pretty much any ship in the game in 4.9 will be able to affect you, even the smaller fighters with their smaller guns. Then you have 69,300 HP, which they do extend out to those wings and everything, which of course is always something you have to, keep in mind when you're being attacked. With this ship, if you're being attacked, it's probably better to try to jump out of there instead of fight, unless you know you can take on what is attacking you. Taking a look, you do have a top SCM speed of 208 with the 437 forward boost, a 240 backwards boost, and a top nav speed of 1,110. It's definitely not a terrible speed at all with this ship because it's stealthy. It's, again, not supposed to be seen, not supposed to be attacked. You are supposed to stay under the radar, get in, get out, and no one would even know you're there. You do have a pitch yaw roll of 35, 30, 100 with a boosted 42, 36, 120. That's pretty good. It's a pretty good amount. Again, you're not going to be in a turn rate fight with an arrow, and if you are, you're probably going to lose. You do have 48 flares and 5 decoys, average across the board, and then you have 43 SCU of hydrogen fuel and 2.25 SCU of quantum fuel. So it can jump around a little bit in the current build. Once they actually update fuel, that might go up, that might go down. We're yet to see really where they're going to end up with those numbers. And then this ship can carry 32 SCU of cargo. So we're going to make our way into the first person view here and take a look just where you carry the cargo here on the landed shrimp, the ESPERIA Prowler utility. Now, this ship has had some updates over the past year from the time I reviewed it to now, including an additional room with spots and everything. It's a pretty nice looking boat. So let's start over here. This right here does have some pretty neat little details that, doesn't really take advantage of. These were really cool looking design and supposed to have an element to them, but outside of that right now, they're just there for design. This is where you'd carry the cargo. Once we open up those doors, you'd fit a 16 SCU container on each side. You can, of course, see your guns, your light strikes there, and then your turret up top with the deadbolts. It's a pretty cool looking ship. I really do think the design is just gorgeous for what it is. And then if we go ahead and open the door, and be careful, this thing will cut you in half if you're not quick with it. You see that? I mean, technically in real life, you'd get gut punched so hard by that, it would hurt. It would hurt a lot. And that door just opens up very rapidly, allowing you to get back into your ship as quick as possible, which is always a good thing. Now, when you make it on board, past the air shield here, which allows you to retain a, atmosphere in here without having to worry about opening up that back door. If you look right on up, you can go ahead and shut that door. Very quick, by the way. Let me get closer. There we go. Now it's very quick, immediately closed. Love that. And then you have the button controls here on each side. You can go ahead and open up these side doors, and then the cargo grid deploys from the roof. As you can see, you can attach ATLSs, GOs, ICTs, all sorts of things to that grid, as well as the 16 or smaller SCU cargo boxes. Again, it's 32 SCU of cargo, 16 on each side. It is pretty cool. I do like that, and you can close them from this side as well. So we're going to make our way. Now, this next room here, again, air shielded right here. You do have a weapons rack. You can fit 4 rifles right there. Pretty good looking. And then you do have another entrance exit. Again, the Paladin, which I just reviewed, doesn't have more than one entrance. The MSR, not more than one entrance. There's a lot of ships, including newer ones, that just lack the additional entry points when they more than likely should, just for an emergency sake, right? Now, if you walk past that, you have one jump seat here, one jump seat here, and another one right here, as well as an area to fit your 1/8 SCU containers, 1, 2, and 3. That is really cool. It's like a little storage area. And then, of course, the fire extinguisher. Gotta love the fire extinguisher here. Now, this is the co-pilot seat. So getting into here, you can technically fly the craft and do everything from this point. Let's just get into the co-pilot seat really quick and take a quick test to make sure if you can control everything from this point. So let's see. We're going to power on the engines. I'm going to let you guys listen to this beautiful, beautiful ship. All right, she's on. We're in the co-pilot seat. It is a screen view. Remember, you can't do anything from the exterior. You can turn this viewport off. This is typically what it looks like when you first get into the seat. It's terrifying. And then you power everything on, and it does turn on with that. This has been known to bug throughout patches once in a while, you know, with server boundaries and stuff. But right now, it's working pretty good. Gotta love that. You can fire the main guns here. You can lift off and go ahead and bring it back down so you can fly it. And then flares, you can also deploy there, so no issues at all. You can go ahead and have everything operating just from the co-pilot seat. So if you're running solo, you don't have to go upstairs at all. And yes, there is an upstairs. A lot of times people will miss this fact about the ship just because of the coloring in here. It is very beautiful red, but it also blends the ladder in right next to your fire extinguisher, to which then you would climb, taking you to where the pilot seat is. If you take a look, here's the pilot seat, and once you get in, you pretty much have the same view, just a little bit higher. And then right above the pilot seat, as well as the co-pilot seat, you do have storage. With that storage, you have a total of 300,000 micro SCU, and that's pretty nice. Always good to have storage. And then you do have component access. One here, looking good. And then over here, go ahead and open this one up as well. And that is very cool. It's just built into the walls and it looks gorgeous. If you open up this back room here, this is where you're going to have even more component access on the left, the back, and the right with a fuse panel. Now, there is no additional fire extinguishers, so you are limited to the one. That's kind of a bummer, but it is there and you have an engineering panel. Overall, this ship is just fantastic for what it is. It is a stealth cargo stealing machine. You could steal, you could go out there and grab some batteries at Hathor, or you know, you can just take it from bunker to bunker and have a great time with it without ever being detected. Now, let's talk about the use cases outside of that, right? Now, in prior videos, and I'm going to try to kind of mention this a little bit heavier for you, and I'm going to talk about this on the regard for any ship in the future reviews as well. Let's talk about PvP first. Would you do PvP in this ship? It's not like you couldn't. You do have size 4 and size 3 hard points. So with that in mind, you can do some damage. You can do some stuff to your opponent out there. But is it recommended? Not really. Your maneuverability isn't quite good enough to deal with things like hornets or arrows, gladiuses, and you really don't have the health pool or the armor to really sustain a fight with anything bigger either. You get into a fight with an F8 or a player controlled even a 600i, and they'll probably rip you apart if their maneuverability matches or is even a little bit better than yours, because you just don't have the shielding, health pool, or the armor to sustain a fight. Now, that's not to say that you can't go into PvP situations. As long as you stay away from the combat, this is a very useful ship to have, especially when you're out there trying to do a hot drop of, icties or any sort of geos at a site. This is a great ship to do that with. Now, when it comes to PvE, what are you looking at? Well, with PvE, you can definitely go out there and have combat with any sort of AI, as long as you have the appropriate weapons equipped. Now, you have to consider what you're attacking, because if your weapons are under the armor gate with their alpha damage, you really won't be able to do anything to them, especially since you don't have missiles. So losing that armor is going to be very difficult. Keep some sort of weapons that have a higher alpha if you're going to focus on the PvE game, like light strikes, M6s, deadbolts in the future. If you want to, you can have the deadbolt 4s on the guns under the wings instead of revenants, and then put something of a size 3 comparison up there. Even like deadbolts all over the ship, or go with some M's series on the wings or the light strikes on the wings, allowing you to kind of strip away that armor for your deadbolts up top to work away. That's a pretty good way to go about it, and I think it's very capable. in PvP. It's more like a support ship. Go in, go out, don't really get into the battle per se. I mean, it's definitely not impossible to do something. With PvE, you can definitely have a very wide variety of things you can do, from bunker running to affecting the AI and so forth. With that in mind, this ship is a 96 out of 100. What a fantastic ship the Prowler utility is. It's super stealthy. It's fast enough. It does have a limited health pool, like I said, but with what this ship is meant to do, you really can't expect it to be out there tanking a bunch of stuff, right? You're not supposed to be seen. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for being here. You guys are truly amazing. Let me know what you think of the Prowler utility down in the comments below. And of course, I'll see you all in the next one.
Let me tell you something real quick. When you see me looking around in game, that's not a trick, that's beam eye tracking doing the work. Its newest version is now in beta and completely removes the need for open track, giving you seamless integration between the software and the game. It's easy to set up, runs clean, and you can use it with a webcam, iPhone, or Android device. And it's only $30. One program, less overhead, smoother tracking. Grab beam eye tracking through the link below to support the developer directly and stop running multiple apps when you want to feel more immersed in what you're doing.